Hello and welcome to Maths with Jacob. This lesson will focus on quadratic polynomials, part 1. A special puzzle to warm up the brain cells is on the next slide. The answer will be given at the end. Enjoy. What is the meaning of the following? Good luck with it and see how you go. We have seen in earlier videos that the general equation of the parabola is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. Here a, b and c are constants and a does not equal 0. The above function can be referred to as a quadratic polynomial. The parabola to the left has the general form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. It has a minimum value when a is greater than 0. We say that it is concave upwards. And here is the minimum value, or the minimum turning point. The parabola to the top has the general form y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. It has a maximum value when a is less than 0. We say that it is concave downwards. And here is the maximum value, or maximum turning point. Intersection of the parabola with the x-axis. The points at which the parabola intersects the x-axis are called the roots of the quadratic equation. The line that passes through the maximum or minimum point and cuts the parabola in half is called the axis of symmetry. So here a and b are the roots of the parabola, and here is the axis of symmetry which cuts the parabola in half. Now, please note, the equation of the axis of symmetry is x equals minus b over 2a. That's a quick and easy way to obtain the equation for the axis of symmetry, and a and b, you'll find them from the equation that we are given. We will see that in the example. How to draw the graph of a parabola. Example 1. Sketch the graph of the parabola y equals x squared minus 8x plus 12. We can see here that a equals 1. So it has a minimum value because a is greater than 0. So we know the parabola is shaped like that. Let's see where it is situated on the number plane. So factorizing the equation of the parabola, we get that expression there. That's quite straightforward. We've seen that many times in earlier videos, how to factorize that expression. The graph cuts the x-axis when y equals 0. Now y will equal 0 when x is equals to 2 or x equals 6. So the graph cuts the x-axis at 2, 0 and 6, 0. So that's where the roots of the quadratic equation are, at those 2 points. The graph cuts the y-axis when x equals 0. So when you put x equals 0 into there, or into there, you get 0, 12. And that's where the graph cuts the y-axis. The axis of symmetry is x equals minus b on 2a, as we saw up here. And as you can see from the equation, b is minus 8 and a is 1. So when you substitute those values in, you get the axis of symmetry, x equals 4. The minimum value is, now the way to obtain the minimum value is, see this value of 4 here, the axis of symmetry, where the axis of symmetry occurs. So when x equals 4, that's where the minimum value will be. So you substitute 4 into there or there, and the minimum value will be y equals minus 4. Let's have a look at the graph on the next slide. So here's the graph with all that information. There are the roots of the quadratic equation there and there. That's the minimum value, where the turning point is. The axis of symmetry, x equals 4. The graph cuts the y-axis way up here at 0, 12. And that's how you find where the graph is situated on the number plane. Example 2. Sketch the graph of minus x, y equals minus x squared minus 2x plus 3. We can see here that a is -1 or -1. So it has a maximum value because a is less than 0. So it's going to be shaped like that. When we factorize that section there, we get this. There it is there. The graph cuts the x-axis when y equals 0. Now that occurs when x equals -3 and when x equals 1. We can see that from here. So the graph cuts the x-axis at -3, 0 and 1, 0. The graph cuts the y-axis when x equals 0. So when we substitute x equals 0 into here, we get y equals 3. Okay, so when x equals 0, which is there, y equals 3. So at 0, 3, that's where it cuts the y-axis. The axis of symmetry, x equals -b on 2a. b is -2 and a is -1. You substitute those values in, and x equals -1 is the equation for the axis of symmetry. And finally, the maximum value, you substitute x equals -1 into the equation, and when you simplify that out, you get y equals 4. So the maximum value of the parabola is 4. So when you take all that information into account, here are the roots of the quadratic equation, -3, 0 and 1, 0. Here's the axis of symmetry, x equals -1. Here's the maximum value, right there, y equals 4. That's where the graph cuts the y-axis at 0, 3, and that's the sketch of the parabola. Here's a quick quiz to help you. Please check through the video at any time. The answer to the puzzle, what is the meaning of the following? Too bad. How good is that? The answers to the quick quiz and the video is at your disposal.